Have you ever wondered what happens after you die? Like, what if the truth about life and death in the universe has been right in front of us all along, but it's hidden in plain sight? And what if I told you that the man with the highest IQ ever recorded, what if he says that you don't actually die at all? Keep watching, because what you are about to hear could completely rewire how you see life, death, and who you truly are. Because the man that I'm referring to is called Christopher Langan. He has the highest recorded IQ in the world. So he's called the smartest man in the world. Now, just for context, Albert Einstein's IQ is said to be about 180. The average IQ for people alive today is about 100. In other words, 200 IQ is wicked smart. Now, I promise not to do any more accents, but the smartest man in the world created a theory about the nature of reality. And in this video, I'm going to be doing three things: exposing the truth about death, the nature of reality, and God. Number two, how consciousness shapes your reality and your life after death, according to the smartest man alive. And number three, most importantly, how you can use this knowledge to change your reality, to conquer the fear of death, and to control your own future. By the end of this video, you are going to see exactly why nothing about your life is what you thought it was, and how you can start to change everything today. After watching this video, there is no going back. Before we dive into it, this is Jake with JakeDucey.com. If you're new here, thanks for clicking on the video, and if you're a returner, thanks for coming back. If you haven't yet, make sure that you hit the bell notification. It's right over there. That's what notifies you for new videos. If you enjoy this, make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, the bell notification. And if you haven't yet, check out my free success hypnosis. You can click right here to get it, or it's linked in the description, or it's pinned as the top comment right there down below in the comment section. It's my free success hypnosis to reprogram your subconscious mind. When I first started listening to this, I was making $1,500 a month. Within 2 years of listening to this every day, I was making millions of dollars a year. And now I give it away for free. Every day I get these epic stories. 1 million people from all over the world have used it. People get money out of nowhere, a new job out of nowhere, a house that they've been trying to sell forever just randomly sells. It's free. It's jakeshypnosis.com. So be sure you check that out too. Now, first things first, what happens when you die?
That's the termination of your relationship with your particular physical body that you have at this present time. When you are retracted from this reality, okay, you go back up toward the origin of reality. You can be provided with a substitute body, another kind of terminal body that allows you to keep on existing.
In other words, Langan's theory of reality says that death isn't the end of the movie. It's like the screen going dark while the projector keeps running. What we call real life is just the part of reality being shown on the screen, or what he calls the display or the terminal domain, where consciousness experiences physical form like the character in a movie playing out in front of us. But when you die, you don't stop existing. Instead, your consciousness steps off the stage and returns to the processor, which is Langan's term for the deeper non-physical realm where the story is written, edited, and kept alive. You're no longer inside the movie at that point. You've moved into the writer's room of reality where things aren't bound by time, space, or physical limitations. And here's the thing, consciousness isn't just something in your brain. It's built into the very structure of reality. So imagine reality is a massive operating system and consciousness is the core software running everything. That means, in his words, you will persist after you die, because consciousness can't die. It can only shift into new states. Why? Because consciousness doesn't come from the body. It uses the body, like a driver uses a car, or like you use a rental car when you're in a new city for the weekend. And in either situation, when the car breaks down, the driver gets out and keeps going. In other words, he is describing the nature of reality in two parts. First, the display. That's what we see, touch, and experience, measure. That's the physical world. Second is the processor. That's the invisible engine behind it all, the realm of change, of causation, and intelligence. Your death is just the moment your awareness shifts from the display to the processor. It's like turning off your TV and then suddenly becoming aware of all the electricity that's running through the wires. It's still active, it's still alive. It's just in a different form. Think about how much happier and less afraid people would be if they knew that your consciousness doesn't vanish when your body dies. It simply returns to its source, still very real, but no longer bound by the rules of space and time. And this leads us to number 2. Does God exist? I mean, we all want to know, right?
Does God exist?
Yes.
Simple as
Yes. Well, it's the identity has the reality has an identity. Okay? The identity is that as which something exists. Okay? Matter of fact, when you say the word reality, you're naming an identity. You're identifying something. This.
Okay, there's a lot there. So let's unpack that. First, reality equals identity. Imagine you walk into a room full of random objects. Imagine you pick something up and you're saying, this is real. What are you doing? You are recognizing that this thing exists, that it has a form, it has a function, it has a meaning. So in other words, you are saying this thing has identity. I can point to it, I can name it. And that's the first key idea. If something is real, it must have identity. Now, if we think bigger, what about all of reality? Everything you see, everything you think, everything you feel, everything you imagine. He says that reality itself, not just the things, have identity. It's not just randomness. It has shape, it has structure, it follows rules, and it knows what it is. It's like the difference between a pile of Legos and a perfectly built Lego castle. One is just pieces and the other has form. It has meaning. That meaning, that self-recognition of reality, that's where God comes in. Then second, God equals the identity of reality itself. Most people imagine God as something separate from them or from the universe, like a big man in the sky. But Langan says God is the identity of reality itself. In other words, if reality was a body, then God would be the mind that knows the body exists. If reality was a story, then God is the author, the narrator, and the logic that holds the whole plot together. So when he says, when you say the word reality, you are naming an identity, he is telling you that every time you say something is real, you're already pointing to the deepest identity of everything. And that identity is what we call God. God isn't something in or outside of reality. God is the thing that makes reality possible. Third, reality must know it exists. This is the point of no return, right? This is where you can't go back. You will never see reality the same once you understand this. So stay with me here, because this is the thing. For something to exist and not fall apart, it needs to know what it is. Imagine a car that doesn't know how to be a car. So the engine doesn't understand itself. And when you try to turn it on, it barks like a dog. Woof, woof. And when you try to turn the steering wheel, The wheels don't know how to turn, so you just crash into everything. Basically, it's not going to get you anywhere, right? So Langan says reality is the same way. Reality must contain its own rules, define itself from the inside, and understand itself just like a mind does. That act of self-understanding of reality, recognizing itself as real, is God. Not a person, not a magician, but the ultimate I am, the built-in awareness that holds the entire universe together. Imagine a super intelligent program that runs the entire universe. This program can write its own code. It understands what it is. It updates itself all on its own, and it contains everything that exists. That program is reality. And the self-awareness of that program, that is God. So when Langan says reality has identity, he means that reality knows it exists, and that knowing, that cosmic awareness, that is what people have always called God. Just by admitting reality exists, you are already acknowledging God, whether you realize it or not. Now, the next logical question is, how do I connect with God so that I can better control my own future, right? If God is reality itself, how do we start to control reality?
You can establish a personal relationship with God. We're images of God. You know what an image is? It's basically the product of a mapping. God maps himself into each human being, right? That's a very personal thing that God is doing for us, right? And I don't understand how anybody can say that it's any different. We reflect the structure of the universe. Each one of us, we're carried by it. Everything we do, we exist in a medium. What is that medium? Right? Where did it come from? What holds it together? What is the unifying coherence, the source of coherence of that medium?
Now, when he says we are images of God, he doesn't mean that we physically resemble God, right? He means that we are all reflections, just like in a hologram. So if you imagine shining a light through a pattern, the light is God. The pattern is the structure of the universe. And you are the image projected onto the world. You are not separate from the source. You are actually an expression of it. So this image is what he calls a mapping. So God himself prints this into every human being. This means that your connection to God isn't distant. It is built in. You're not a lost speck floating through space. You are a wave in the ocean of reality made of the same divine essence. So in other words, you don't just exist in the universe. You mirror it. A drop of ocean water, it contains the same chemistry as the whole ocean, right? And you contain the pattern and the spark of God itself. And that's why ancient wisdom says, as above, so below, as within, so without. Now, here's where you can totally change your life. In that clip, he says, what is the medium that we live in? What holds it together? Well, fish live in water, right? Birds live in air. But we live in something deeper, an invisible field that binds thought, matter, time, and soul. And that medium is often called God or universal intelligence, but more specifically, it's consciousness, the substance through which you connect, you relate, and you communicate with God. That is the invisible glue of all of reality. And it's the channel through which your relationship with God becomes real and personal.
You need a certain kind of quantum. That quantum is called an identity operator. God is the identity. So obviously these little quanta, they have to be, they're doing things, they're processing, so we can call them operators, right? They are identity operators. Okay, the identity operator it takes input from the outside world, recognizes it or accepts it using syntax, processes it, and then returns it to the world as external state. Okay, so things come in, then they're processed, right? There's throughput, which is, you could call that the subjective or internal state of the identity operator, and then it's returned to the external universe.
But are you attributing now?
So what I'm saying is that's consciousness. And I'm saying that consciousness exists in every part of the universe because those are the quanta.
That's what I'm asking. Are you telling me that this table is conscious?
In that sense, yes. Generically conscious.
Okay, again, a lot to unpack there. Now, if you're still with me before we do that, as you can tell, the key is consciousness. And one of the ways that we block ourselves is subconscious, which controls 95% of our life, all this negative programming. I have a free success hypnosis. About 1 million people from all over the world have used it. When I first made it for myself, I was making $1,500 a month. Within about 2 years, I was making millions of dollars a year. All I did is just listen to it for a couple minutes every day. It's going to reprogram your subconscious mind. So then subconsciously, you start generating and creating the reality that you want, and you aren't carrying around all this old childhood trauma, negative belief systems, negative self-images that you inherited that have just started to feel normal. It's free. It's jakeshypnosis.com. If you click right up here, or you go to the link in the description right there down below, or it's pinned as the top comment, it's jakeshypnosis.com. About 1 million people from all over the world have used it, and it's free. So now let's just unpack this, right? Let's go at this step by step, because once the nature of reality is revealed to you, you can control reality itself. You can get the money, the health, the job, the dream house, the romantic partner, once you know this. So that's why this is so important. So first, he says, you need a certain kind of quanta called an identity operator, and God is the identity. So what does that mean? So identity operators are tiny units of self-awareness. He's exposing that reality isn't just made up of like dumb particles like rocks and dust. Instead, it's built from quanta that are identity operators, which are basic informational units that do 3 things. So first, they take in information. Second, they process that information. And third, they send it back out into the world. So if you think of them like cosmic microprocessors, they observe something, they internally process what it means, then they respond or interact with the environment. So these identity operators are what give rise to consciousness. In other words, like if you imagine a walkie-talkie, it has 3 functions, right? It listens to the world, the input, it processes what it hears, the internal state, and then it responds or broadcasts a reply or an output. Now, that is basically what an identity operator does. It receives signals from reality. It uses an internal syntax or like a rule book or logic to understand or recognize the input. Then it outputs a response, which becomes part of the external world once again. And this loop is what he says defines consciousness. So input, internal awareness, output. Now, when he says God is the identity, he is zooming way out. He means that all the little identity operators throughout reality are like fragments of a much bigger identity, the ultimate one that we call God. So God is the universal identity that all smaller identities, like you, me, the table, atoms, are sub-operators of. So in other words, your consciousness is a slice of God's master consciousness. Now, how about the table, right? He's asked about, is the table conscious? He doesn't mean that the table is thinking about its purpose or planning for its future, right? Instead, he's saying the table is made of identity operators, the quanta, that exchange and process information. So while it doesn't have self-reflective consciousness like a human does, it's still part of the conscious network of the entire universe. Its existence depends on and contributes to a system that is inherently aware. So it's like a pixel in a massive digital screen. That pixel isn't smart on its own, but it's part of a display that's being rendered by a much bigger conscious system. So if we just break down that whole clip into 3 points. Number 1, consciousness equals identity in motion. Number 2, these identity operators are the building blocks of reality. Number 3, everything that exists participates in this grand processing network. Therefore, everything exists within consciousness and to a degree is conscious. And because God is the master identity, every part of reality reflects and participates in God's awareness. But here's really the secret that's really easy to miss. There is something generating consciousness that actually controls physical reality, like the director of a movie controls the scenes. And when you know this, you can control anything in your life. Your bank account, how much money you make, your relationships, who you date and marry, all of it is controllable once you know this.
Are you telling me that this table is conscious?
In that sense, yes, generically conscious. But it's relying on our consciousness to do it. There's levels of quanta, okay? These are tertiary quanta. They're all put together using physical localistic forces, right? But those are underdeterminative. They don't fully determine what happens. Why? The Heisenberg uncertainty principle, for example, it tells you that, the quantum rules, they're probabilistic.
Right.
They don't actually determine events,
Yep.
okay? So what determines events? We do.
All right, so first I wanted to repeat that question on the table. Is it conscious? Because that's really easy to overlook. So as we know, the table is conscious in a very general or passive way, but the table isn't what's important. Think about all the other things, right? Like your bank account or your dream car that you really want, or the $1 million annual income that you really wish that you had. Those things are conscious too. But here's the thing, your consciousness is what brings it to life. The table or your dream house doesn't have its own awareness. It borrows its being from the conscious framework that you and the universe provide. Now, here's where he shows that you can control every aspect of reality. He says that the physical world is made of quanta, the smallest building blocks of reality. But those particles don't actually decide what happens on their own. Why? Because at the quantum level, the rules are probabilistic. They deal in maybes, not certainties. And that's what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle shows us. You can't know everything about a particle at once. You can predict the odds, but not the outcome. So what does determine the outcome? You do. Your consciousness is the determiner. Your consciousness is not just observing reality. It is collapsing it into being. So if you imagine the universe is like a video game, right? The code is running all possible outcomes in the background, but nothing actually appears on the screen until the player makes a move. That player is your consciousness. You don't just look at the world. You participate in creating it. Every thought, every choice, every focus of attention is telling the universe which version of reality to render. And this aligns with quantum theory. Reality doesn't fully crystallize until there is an observer. And the physical world provides the raw ingredients, but your consciousness decides how they're cooked and how they are served. So when he says, what determines events? We do. He's not being poetic. He means it literally. Your personal reality, what you experience, what you attract, what you create, is being shaped by your mind's interaction with a probabilistic universe. And this gives way to what he calls a generative reality. Now, to generate your own reality, you have to control your subconscious. Stanford University did a study. They found 95% of your life is controlled by your subconscious. You have 60,000 thoughts in a day. 95% of them are subconscious. Well, those subconscious thoughts, emotions, and habits are what is keeping you stuck financially. That's what's not allowing you to get the relationships you want, the job you want, the house you want. That's why it's so important to reprogram your subconscious mind. So like I said, when I first started listening to my success hypnosis, I was making $1,500 a month. The only thing I changed is I started listening to this for a couple minutes a day, and I was making millions of dollars a year within 2 years. Every day I get these epic stories, people landing all kinds of jobs out of nowhere, getting unexpected money out of nowhere. It's free. It's jakeshypnosis.com. So you can check that out if you click right up here or go to the link in the description or pin to the comments to get my free success hypnosis. So now let's dive into how reality is generative and what that means.
Reality is actually generative. Okay, it's not just fixed manifold. Everything is being created all the time. Not just our states. Our states are being recreated, right?
All right, let's just bring this entire thing now back to Earth. And most importantly, let's bring it back to you. So you can generate reality and you can get exactly what you want. Now, by now, if you've watched this whole video, you know that reality isn't fixed. It is generated in real time through consciousness. And the most powerful force in shaping your life, it's not genetics, it's not luck, it's not even action. It's your identity, the internal I am, and your consciousness, the awareness that you bring to what you focus your attention on each and every moment. So let's just get real about what it means for you in everyday life. If you want more money, shift your identity and what you're conscious of. Are you conscious of money and growing wealth? Or are you conscious of debt and the stress of what's been going on financially? Are you conscious of the fact that there has never been a better time in human history to be alive and to generate financial freedom? Or are you conscious of recessions and whatever fears the media and social media are mentioning every single day? If your consciousness is always focused on what you don't have, you are choosing quantum probabilities where lack always continues. But when you step into the identity of someone who has value, who creates and receives value, your consciousness begins tuning into the frequency of abundance. So you can just ask yourself, what does the millionaire version of me think, feel, and act like today? Or if I wanted to get excited about getting rich and I wanted to feel good about money, what can I focus on right now? That shift in attention is amplifying the version of yourself you must consciously become before the money shows up. Because your external bank account always mirrors your internal identity broadcast. Now, if, for example, you want your dream home, you have to embody it by first assuming the identity of someone who can afford it. If your consciousness keeps reinforcing, like, I could never afford that. I'm stuck in this tiny apartment. I hate this place. Why is the world so unfair? You are stabilizing the version of you who doesn't have the keys to your dream house. So by being conscious of what is, you are unknowingly generating more of what you don't want. But shift into the identity of a homeowner, someone who already feels peace, space, beauty. The structure of reality then begins to reconfigure and regenerate itself. And I can say this as someone who should not own their dream house. I mean, I don't have a college degree. I don't have an English major, but I bought a multi-million-dollar dream home that I own without a mortgage. And it happened because every day I would just turn on my success hypnosis and I would mentally rehearse myself walking into my dream house and owning it outright without a mortgage. So make sure that you get my free success hypnosis. I literally went from $1,500 a month to millions in less than 2 years just because I started listening to this for a couple minutes every single day. It's totally free. So just click right here, or you can go to the link in the description, or it's pinned as the top comments. It's jakeshypnosis.com, jakeshypnosis.com. Now, once you are using my free success hypnosis, just remember, visualization isn't wishful thinking. It is uploading a spatial blueprint into the quantum field. You are generating the future environment by building the prototype in your mind first. Now, let's just say that you want love. You want relationships. You have to become the person who is worthy of it. You have to live as the identity that gives and receives it. So if your identity is I'm not lovable, your consciousness filters for rejection and self-sabotage and emotional distance. So you attract people that treat you like garbage. And it's not even their fault. You actually generated the experience for yourself to prove to yourself that you are not lovable and you are not worthy. But when you become conscious of a new identity, like I am worthy of love, I am safe to be seen, I know that my soulmate is out there, you collapse a new set of relationship probabilities. Love shows up when your identity vibrates as someone who can truly hold it. You attract what you are conscious enough to accept. And now, how about if you are drowning in financial debt? You have to shift your consciousness from scarcity to surplus. Focusing on your debt constantly keeps your identity locked in the loop of, I'm behind, I'm failing, I'm stuck, I can't keep living like this, I am in debt. But if you shift to the identity of someone who always finds a way, you start becoming conscious of solutions, not just problems. Don't wait for the numbers to change your story. Change your story, and then the numbers follow. Like, I am a match for overflow. That's not a fantasy, it's a real frequency. So if you are struggling with debt, make sure that you get my free success hypnosis. And then just repeat these words. You can comment them down below in the comment section. I am a match for overflow. I'm a match for overflow. Now, how about if you want a new job, you want a breakthrough? You have to adopt the identity of someone who gets hired. You have to stop identifying with like, I am overlooked, I'm not qualified, I'm stuck where I am, life isn't fair, I'm not lucky, right? Instead, you have to align with, I am in demand, I am valuable, I am already walking in purpose, I am lucky, I am always chosen. Then you begin noticing doors that you never saw before. Why? Because your identity was finally tuned to walk right through them. So just repeat that to yourself. I am chosen. I am lucky. I am wanted. You can comment that down below. I am chosen. Now, how about if you want healing, like mentally or emotionally or physically? Shift your identity from broken to restored. Consciousness isn't just in your brain. It flows through every cell of your body. When you identify as sick or unfixable or damaged, you send that signal into your biology. Now, when you shift into like, I'm healed, I'm healing, I am harmony, I am energy in motion, your body listens. Your nervous system reorganizes. The quantum field rearranges. You are not trying to force change, though. You are actually communicating with your cells in a new way. And since your cells are conscious, you activate the magic of epigenetics, and that's how you change your health. Now, here's the one thing that I hope you remember. You're not waiting for reality. Reality is waiting for you. You are not waiting for reality. You are waiting for you. Every version of you already exists. The wealthy version, the healthy version, the loved version, the fulfilled version. Your job is just to become conscious of that version and then assume that identity before your physical world can change. Because reality isn't just happening to you. It's being generated through you right now. So I invite you to just ask yourself 3 questions, and extra love to anyone who comments these questions below so everyone can remember them and focus on them. Number 1, what identity am I living from? Number 2, what version of me am I feeding with my attention? And number 3, what reality am I collapsing with my consciousness? The universe is always listening. Every second, reality is being reassembled, refreshed, and regenerated. And guess what? You are the eternal generator. All right, today we covered some big things. You cannot die because your true identity is eternal consciousness. You are an identity operator. You live in a conscious medium. You reflect the structure of the universe. You are made in the image of God, and you carry the blueprint of God. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, bell notification. Check out my free success hypnosis at jakeshypnosis.com. Give me a comment down below and let me know what you think, and you can click right here to watch another video.